release control and surrender to the flow of love that surrounds me. Today it's May something, and in a few days to Grace, which means that it's already been 3 months since I moved to Vietnam. This is going to be a life update, okay? I'm going to talk about moving here, what that's been like. Also, during this time, I started a new relationship that we've been long distance. Some of these discoveries and shifts that have been happening of really being in a new environment, in a new country, in a new energy, and spending a lot of time by myself in my little nest. I am half Vietnamese on my paternal line. My father was born in Saigon, now known as Ho Chi Minh. I grew up with my cousins and my aunties and visiting them, and always feeling a little bit disconnected and a little bit confused as a child, shy and maybe out of place. And growing up, I only ever came to Vietnam once when I was like 2 years old, like a really young child with my family, and never again since. And I reached a point in my journey in my life where I really felt this calling to reconnect with that part of myself and that part of my bloodline, my DNA, my ancestry. And I find that the more we start to uncover parts of ourselves, and for me, like moving through the world and understanding, like, what does it mean to be me in this world, and what makes me who I am and my unique code. And a big part of that is our genetics and our DNA. It's literally the codes within us that make up every part of us. And I always felt a little bit ashamed and guilty that I didn't have a deeper connection with my Vietnamese heritage, especially since I look ethnic, I look Asian or mixed, and I never felt good when people would ask me, like, oh, like, do you speak Vietnamese? And I would be like, no. Yeah, I just never learned growing up. My mom spoke English, my father, he also spoke English and Vietnamese in the house growing up, right? So we always just spoke English as the common language in our family, in our immediate family. Yeah, I felt this yearning, this curiosity, and this importance to reclaim and dive in and just be a little bit more attuned to the land and the people that live in me. So, after a few years of traveling lots and going to all these super activating portals, like all the main ones, like Bali, Tulum, Guatemala, Costa Rica, different places in Europe that have been such amazing expanders for me and activating places where I've really grown and evolved a lot as a person and started to learn how to show up as more of my authentic self. And so after a few years of that, I felt like, okay, I really want to be a little bit more grounded. So I decided it would be a nice time to to move here to Vietnam and just see what happens, see how I feel, see if it's somewhere that I feel a connection to, or in what way do I feel a connection. So I moved here, I came here, moved my little booty for 3 months. It's been interesting and beautiful and confronting also. Like, I remember when I first came here, when I was in Hanoi, which is in the north, and I first arrived and we're like going for dinner. We were sitting at like, you know, Asian style, just like on the street restaurant with the little plastic stool chairs, low tables, having dinner, and it tripped me out because there was other people like kind of around my age having dinner at a table next to us, and it tripped me out because they looked exactly like people that I would see having dinner in Vancouver, for example. Like if I were to go to Vancouver or Richmond, like there's so many Asian people in Vancouver, right? So it's like very normal. So with my eyes, it looked like I was in Vancouver because it was just like Asian restaurant, Asian people wearing modern clothes, nothing I have not seen before. So in one sense, I had this feeling of familiarity. And then in the next sense, it's also like this feeling of extreme disconnect, because in reality, like, I'm a foreigner, and if I wanted to have a conversation with these people, we would have to use Google Translate, most likely. And their upbringing and life has probably been, you know, very, very, very different than mine. I was holding both of that, and a little bit of adjustment to, of course, the culture, the energy, and the language. And yeah, it was just so fascinating to reflect on this, like in that specific moment, like the sense of familiarity and also the sense of disconnect and being such a foreigner in a place that is half of my biological roots. And I felt this a lot in different moments, because where I'm living, it's in the central coast of Vietnam, in a place called Hoi An. And it's really beautiful because the meaning of the word Hoi An means a peaceful meeting place. So it actually is a representation of this unification between north and south coming together into peace, into harmony. So I really love this symbolism, and I feel like that's also, that energy is partly what brought me here. I feel this with my interactions, like kind of being in this in-between space of having Vietnamese blood, but very clearly being a foreigner in this country. Thankfully, Vietnamese local people, especially here, are so helpful. They're really kind, and anytime you have a question or a problem or need help, they will genuinely help you, like without a doubt, without a question, and are really, dare I say, patient. Like, they just are so giving in that way, generous. It's easy to be a foreigner here, basically, and specifically in this village, in this town. It's very geared towards more tourism, so they're used to it. Navigating that, and maybe you can relate also if you feel like. I'm sure it's like the human experience, we can all relate to this feeling of belonging, and when we feel on the outside of that, or when we feel on the inside of that, or sometimes we feel in between. That's what I also experienced a lot. It's almost like this in-betweenness of finding my place, or more creating my place. Yeah, touches the tender parts. didn't think I would cry, but there's a reason I called it my video diary. You know those things that you do or you experience that on the outside don't seem like a big deal. They don't seem so important maybe, but it really touches something inside. And I feel that's what this experience has been for me in some ways. Like, yeah, sure, I just moved here and lived my life for a few months. Still, it feels like like some reclamation of some part of myself, some integration of knowing thyself on a even more attuned level, where I can see the earth, the land, the environment from which my ancestors have come through. Yeah, for anyone that has felt a similar calling to reconnect with their ancestry and their roots, whether that's through just asking family members about your history, doing a DNA test, which I also did, immersing yourself in the history, or actually going to that place, putting your feet on the earth there, speaking to the land and interacting with the people and the culture. I highly suggest to follow that impulse. May we not forget where we came from. May we honor the fabric of who we are. Moving here has definitely come with its own challenges, and particularly what I've been facing is feeling loneliness, which was a really big contrast from my experience before, when I was traveling to all of these vortex communities and you're constantly around people and there's so much going on, there's so much stimulation, there's always new people, and there's always opportunities to meet people that are wonderful, brilliant, like-minded, creative, fascinating. I wanted to switch out of that. That's why I chose to come here to have a change. And so facing that change and those differences, I also confronted my nature, which is a little bit more reserved and introverted, I would say. I'm definitely an introverted, outroverted mixed person where I can be very social. And what I've learned through this experience is how much I value having female community, female friendships, sisterhood, and how deeply nourishing that is. Specifically, sisters where I can express my sensual, erotic nature with. Sisters that I feel are open and they have discovered that part of themselves, their sexuality, their beauty, their sensitivity, their body. It creates this space of connection that for me feels so rich and nourishing, that can be difficult to find when you go into a new place and there's not immediately these types of communities that are already thriving. I don't doubt that that's available here. I just feel like it takes a little bit more time to find to find each other and to build a connection. At least for me, it takes me time. What did I do about this? So synchronistically, found out about this lingerie shop, and it's the only one in all of the town. Went there, obviously. Tried on a bunch of stuff, met one of the owners, had the blast, beautiful store, beautiful energy. And then I went back the next week again to try on more things because I couldn't decide what I wanted. And then I met the other owner, and she was working there at the time. And something within me in that moment just came through me. It wasn't even a thought in my mind. It just came from my body out through my voice, and I just pitched myself. And lo and behold, we met, we talked, and I started to work with them. And this really gave me a deeper sense of meaning and fulfillment in my time here. And I really feel like it has been one of the biggest blessings of my experience and one of the richest, realest parts of my experience, because one of my intentions was to really connect with local people, with women, and to learn more about their life and their stories. Through this collaboration, it's been just that. Just the other day, we did a photo shoot, and it was so fun, and I can't wait to see how it turned out. And I also had the joy of designing my own lingerie and going through that whole process from my idea and inspiration all the way to having the physical piece and wearing it and doing a photo shoot and all of it. I can assume that this is, something that a lot of people experience when they move somewhere new. And yeah, the best thing is to follow your passions and your genuine curiosities, and through that you will find your community, your like-minded people that you feel excited to be with, to be around. By the way, iced matcha with coconut water. So good. One thing that has been a huge anchor for me has been my partner, actually. So I started a relationship this year with this wonderful man, and I never wanted to be in a long distance relationship. It was something that I was always against, because knowing myself and my desires, it just didn't make sense to me. And you live the lifestyle of always traveling, at some point, if you meet someone, you have to choose whether you want to continue that relationship and still travel, or continue the relationship and stop traveling, or not continue the relationship. So I decided to open my heart a little bit more, and with that opening of the heart, of course, there's the vulnerability that comes up simultaneously. It's been really amazing. There's been not a lot of challenge. It's been very smooth. We have amazing communication. There's some quality about him that brings out the quality in me of pure honesty, which is beautiful. And I feel so safe to share all of my feelings, my doubtful thoughts, my projections, and just share them. And as soon as they're shared, a lot of the times they dissolve, they dissipate. There's something so true about that, about naming our fears to diminish the power that they hold over us, because then it no longer feels like you are hiding this feeling or this thought. I guess I can share some juicy bits about it, actually. With us, pretty early in our relationship, we started to explore and talk about kink and BDSM dynamics. This is the world that I already have been living in and love and has transformed me. So I shared this with him also, and so it was really fun to play with these dynamics in a long distance context, because it's a new experience that is the ultimate killer of relationships of any kind, is the lack of innovation and resorting to default, which means that you are just repeating the same patterns over and over to the point where the relationship becomes more of a habit than a conscious choice. That's why I love kink so much, because there's endless possibilities of how you can play and how you can explore. And not only is it pleasurable a lot of the times, it's also so psychological. And for me, I'm very much a psychosexual being. I really, really enjoy the psychological stimulation. And when you're in long distance, that's basically all or most of what you're working with, is the psychological, emotional layers, because you're not physically together. The way that we were able to create these little games and protocols and reminders to reinforce our erotic connection. There was a period of time during where I did a 3-day water-only fast, and it was really helpful because during that same period we decided to simultaneously have a BDSM container where he would send me instructions and tasks and basically a protocol to follow every day for those 3 days, which involved different things, all the way from telling me to meditate for a certain amount of time, all the way to telling me to pleasure myself in a specific way or time. And so it was really helpful for me to have this guiding voice while I was fasting to keep me focused. And every time it brings us closer, because we're both in the vulnerability of trying something new together. We don't know how it will work, how it will land, but we do remain open to the idea and to what comes, and not hold on to any particular thing too strongly if it goes some way or another. If you're in a long distance relationship or considering one, some suggestion that I have for you is to really make sure that your first priority is yourself, and that you are doing your absolute best to immerse yourself in your environment. It could be so easy to rely on your partner to be your place of comfort. And in many ways, he was for me, and that's okay. And still having the nudge and the push to explore relationships with people, friends, outside of that, to not get stuck in the longing, to not spend so much energy in the wishing, waiting, hoping, yearning. What we both discovered is that when we would talk to each other on the phone, in those moments we would experience longing and yearning. But when we were not speaking, and just in our day-to-day life, neither of us experienced feeling like we're missing something, except for in parentheses, except for this one time for me, but that's because I went to this play party in Thailand, and that's another story. For me, that feels healthy, it feels good, everyone's different, of course, but we want to be present in our current experience and not be living in the past or living in the future. Just being present. In the present moment, you don't feel longing. You're happy and content with where you are. What else? Okay, so last new moon in April, it was the Aries new moon. I really, right during when I was doing my water fast, I really went through this rebirth cycle. I think also because of the Aries new moon energy and spring and all of this, just bringing that fire back. I really felt a reconnection with my creative fire. I didn't realize, but had been a little bit dimmed for a while. I painted this really powerful painting, and I hadn't painted in years. It's the perfect representation of my reclamation of my creativity and my energy, my erotic energy, and specifically being seen in it. For years ago, I was doing a lot of modeling, and really when I first started getting into the spice work realms and feeling so empowered and so free and brave and bold, and I felt that this kind of dimmed a bit since I was a lot in these spiritual communities where it almost felt like, oh, I can't be this sexy, I can't be this provocative, I need to dial it down to seem more mature, responsible. I've let go of this a lot more and reclaimed my spiciness and my inner provocateur that loves to be seen and to invoke feelings of pleasure and arousal, because that invokes pleasure and arousal in me. And also the beauty of that. Yeah, my authentic intention to bring more beauty into the world in a way that I love and inspires me. Basically, I reclaimed my baddie era, my baddie archetype. I really had to sit with that and reflect on my self-identity and of why I felt like that part of me was unworthy to show up. And the word that comes to mind is shallow. I didn't think about it back then, just, reflecting now, just I feel like I had a belief that if I show up this way, then I'm being perceived as shallow. Or honestly, that means I'm perceiving myself as shallow for showing up this way. But it's not the case. It's simply that's how I feel, and that's how I want to express myself right now. And if that changes in the future, that's fine. But if I'm simply not doing it because of a fear of perception affecting somehow my credibility or how people perceive me, it's just outside of my control. We cannot control. And that's why I like making YouTube videos, because then I can actually talk and share my inner world and my thoughts and my views, and the people that resonate, we vibe. And if you don't, then that's fine also, and it's all good. Let's actually get deeper together. Whereas on Instagram, for example, it's more just like mood, character, like one archetype here, one archetype there. Overall, I'm feeling immense gratitude, deeper self-acceptance for my unique path, self-acceptance for how I am choosing to show up and express myself, my history, my work. I really felt this deepening into what is and who I am right now, accepting on a more embodied level instead of the striving and reaching energy that I can sometimes get caught up in so easily, especially with social media and even the positive messaging that is out there around self-improvement still feels this energy of striving and attainability. This is my video diary, life update of these last 3 months in Vietnam. Some themes that have really come up for me: loneliness, authentic community, deeper commitment, relating, reclamation of self and my biology, self-expression, self-acceptance. Please let me know if any of these topics resonate with you, what your experience has been, if there's anything that I shared that you want to ask me about or you'd love to know more about. May you find a deeper sense of embodied self-acceptance with wherever you are in your journey right now. For me, it feels like this sensation of sinking into my bones just a little bit more, like almost like a weight is like whew. Tension in the mind, just like we're cutting the cord. Whatever it is that's pulling us out of here. Thank you so much. I love you.